to make sure that you get the proper PC to get the proper performance.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Jenny and I'm a part of education team at Medit. Nice to meet everyone. Today we have Dr. Bogdan here.
Hello guys, nice to be here.
Thank you for being here, doctor. Last time, the topic about the full arch implant scanning was a big hit.
Thank you so much, happy to hear that.
So today he came back with everything you need to know before scanning. So can you tell us about the contents that you're going to discuss with us today?
Sure, Jenny. So I saw a lot of questions online about what computers we should get, Macs or Windows machines, if we should get a laptop or a desktop. So this got me thinking that people need a little bit more information about what to buy and what the needed specifications are, and also how to properly handle cooling of such devices, and also what to do before starting to scan, how to set up an account, how to prepare your scanner, how to sterilize your scanner. So these things I split up into two parts. It's a two-part webinar. The first one is going to handle computer parts and also cooling of the device.
I think it's including every information that everybody needs to know before scanning.
I hope my webinar covers all your questions, and also I am prepared to answer some more questions in the Q&A part afterwards. Thank you so much.
So Dr. Bogdan, do you know that we have released CliniCAD beta version?
Yes, I've just started testing this CliniCAD beta, and I really am amazed of the new AI functionalities. Before you start using this beta, installation process needs to go through adding an additional module that's very interesting. It handles the CUDA cores of the graphics cards, and these CUDA cores are going to help you with a lot of AI stuff, from margin line definition, from easier placement of the crowns. So everything is there, helped by AI. This is a big advantage. Also, for the first time we have multiple incoming libraries. We start with the Adam library. This is also great, and I hope many more will come. We have a male and a female library to that, and also more interesting is now that we have a lot of presets for scanners. CliniCAD can help you print or mill your crowns, but it is mostly intended for the fast protocols of printing. And now we also have validated parameters for these crowns and inlays directly dialed into the beta. And also, the beta can export your crown designs or your inlays, veneers directly to SprintRay Ray Cloud, and there you're going to have them automatically placed. So maybe you don't do any adjustments at all, because SprintRay Cloud also is driven by AI. Or if you need some minor adjustment, this is going to go very fast. And with one click of a button, you just start printing your restorations. And when you get a notification on your email that everything is done, you're just going to go to the printer, wash everything, and you're ready to go. You're just going to load them in, adjust a little bit, and you have your final preparation on in the patient. I already tried this. I'm very happy with the results. Crown fits and inlay fits are amazing this time. So happy printing, everybody.
Oh, I'm very impressed that Dr. Bogdan already explained everything about new features and improvements about CliniCAD beta version, second version. I'm very impressed. Oh my God.
Thank you so much. I'm an avid printer and miller, and I do everything myself, or at least for the first times, I try to do everything myself and then delegate it to my technicians. So I need to know every part. I already tried everything there, and I'm amazed and super happy with what I found.
Okay, as always, right after the lecture is done, we are going to have Q&A session. So we've already collected all the questions through the email in advance. So we'll cover those questions. And if you would like to watch the webinars again, we have YouTube channel and official training platform. So you can utilize our Medit platform to enhance your knowledge regarding digital dentistry. And if you have any feedback or any question, please feel free to contact us meditedu@medit.com. Okay.
Thank you.
Shall we begin, doctor?
Yes, sure. Let's go straight into it.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about how to start preparing for intraoral scanning, what the needed PC specs are, what preparations you have to do to build your account, the apps you are going to install on your computer, what computer to actually buy, and how to hold your scanner, how to sterilize your scanner, some important settings before you start scanning to not have any surprises. We are going to talk about calibration. So let's just straight jump to it. As you can see, the Medit lineup today is composed of 4 scanners. They all scan with 3D video in motion. And one very interesting thing about them is that they don't do processing on board the scanners. The actual data flow is going to go to a computer that is going to interpret it and give us the actual final models. It's interesting because with the evolution of algorithms that Medit uses, the scanners get better and better with time. Even if they are from last generation, like the Medit i500, we got a device that was scanning with 100 microns of accuracy per full arch, and now it scans with under 50 microns just because the software got better and better. So this is a nice part about these scanners, that they are getting better with time, even though you are not exchanging the hardware. Okay, so the age-old question now, do we buy a PC or a Mac? Do we buy a desktop or a laptop? PCs operate Windows and Macs operate macOS. The advantage in macOS is that you get a very stable system, a system that has not many errors, but on the other hand, you get a system that has not so many software directly compatible built for it. So you will have to make sure that what you want to use besides the scanning software from Medit is going to operate properly on your Mac system. So if you want to, for example, use ExoCAD, or if you want to use DICOM interpretation software, this software might not be able to run natively on Mac. And when they are emulated, you have to make sure that they actually work properly. So you have a very stable system, a very good system, but not every software is going to run accordingly. So please make sure that these software are running correctly, because if not, you are going to need a second computer, a PC computer that is going to be able to run this software, and your Mac is only going to be used for scanning. On the PC side of things, PCs run Windows. You have much more software available to you. Everything runs here, but the system is more prone to errors. You might get blue screens, you might get interferences between drivers, so it's a little bit more complex to handle than the Mac version. On the other hand, in desktops on PC, you are able to upgrade components. The components are swappable only by PCs. For example, you can exchange a CPU or just the motherboard, or the RAM. You can upgrade the RAM or the internal graphic card. Everything is interchangeable. These things don't work on Macs because these Mac systems are built systems on a chip, and the graphics card and the CPU are bound together on the same platform. So if you want to upgrade a Mac, you're probably going to have to buy a new one. Now, deciding between desktops and laptops, desktops are much more powerful and draw more power. They run at a higher frame rate during scanning, but on the other hand, they are big. They need to be properly cooled, and if you want to use them in multiple operatories, you have to you have to use a cart to get between, or you have to transport these desktops between one room to the next, and this is pretty hard to handle. So if you need or computer that only runs in one room, it's probably better to get a desktop. But if you need a system that is going to run between multiple operatories and you are going to just want to set up it quick and plug it in and work anywhere with it, or maybe even between multiple clinics, then you're going to have to choose a laptop. Laptops in Macs, the Macs are also non-upgradable, so what you buy is what you get, and when you need something newer, you're just going to need a new system. Laptops on PC are a little bit more upgradable. That you can add, for example, add some more RAM. If the RAM is not soldered in, you can exchange hard disks, but the CPU and GPU is gonna stay the same, so not as much upgradability as the desktop versions. So Mac specifications. For macOS, you need at least a laptop or a desktop with an M1 or M2 processors with 8 cores of CPU. In the M1 version, you need 7 cores GPU. In the M2, you're going to find it with 8 cores GPU. So it's pretty standard, but you will have to make sure that these systems have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM with a recommended of 24 gigabytes. If you have less than 16 gigabyte, and this is a pretty common scenario in Macs, many of them come with only 8 gigabytes, then your scanning experience will be suboptimal, and we do not recommend this. So make sure you're going to have M1 or M2 with 16 gigabytes at the least, or better, you have an M1 Pro with 10 cores of CPU and 16 cores of GPU, and M2 or M2 Pro with 8 cores, 10 cores CPU, or 10 cores and 16 cores of GPU, and at least a 24 gigabyte of RAM. If you have these things all together in a Mac, you're going to have a stellar experience. Update your operating system to Monterey or Ventura, and then everything is going to work extraordinarily on the scanning side.
Some people are capturing very fast, smooth, and reliable looking scans. On the other hand, there are people who struggle and experience slow, coarse, and unreliable scans. Now let's look at how the same scanner can give a totally different PC experience. The scanner takes images of the teeth at high speed and sends them to the PC. The captured images are made into 3D images and displayed and stored in real time. The ideal experience of fast and smooth scanning depends on your PC's CPU performance. The higher the CPU, the faster the scanner can create 3D frames. We measure this with FPS, which shows how many 3D frames are being created per second. This is displayed in the upper right corner of the screen while scanning. If the scanner scans on a PC with an FPS of more than 80% of its maximum capacity, it is adequate. Adequate PCs have more than 6 cores in their processor. You can see a comparison table of processors with 6+ cores from Intel and AMD's lineup. Even if the CPU's performance is adequate, if the RAM is insufficient, the scanning may stop for complex and detailed cases. For reliable performance, please make sure to have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, or our recommended suggestion of 32 gigabytes of RAM. So far, we have seen optimized scan experiences with FPS, CPU, and RAM. Finally, let's look at the conditions of the PC that are important for post-processing images. Post-processing is when we process a raw image created by the scanner and optimize it. When reconfiguring scans into complete 3D images, we need a GPU to calculate high-capacity data at a high speed. GPUs have different configurations for different purposes. The purpose of your PC should be to process 3D images. Generally, these PC models are designed for gaming purposes. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 or later. So far, we have identified PC configurations for the scanner's optimized performance. If you're about to purchase a new PC, please visit our Medit Help Center for recommendations. You can check out recommended PC models and their specifications.
Now let us talk about PC components. PC components are as follows. You need a CPU, RAM, graphics, and the operating system. Also not mentioned on the charts, but also important is the hard disk specifications. I do recommend that you get systems with NVMe's or SSDs as hard disks and at least 512 gigabytes of storage, because the files of Medit are pretty big, and with these big files you need a proper amount of storage. About CPUs, as you will be able to see, CPUs are provided by Intel or AMD. Both are okay, but Intel is better regarded by the Medit specialists because it provides a little bit more performance. This we are going to explain fully, because there are so many numbers and denominations that you have to make sure that you get the proper PC to get the proper performance. RAM-wise, you are going to need, like in macOS systems, at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, but I recommend to go with 32 gigabytes. It's going to give you a much smoother experience, because when jumping between stages, you need to have enough RAM to not always back up on the hard drive. On the graphics side of things, only the GPUs from NVIDIA are supported. So an AMD, Radeon or Intel supported GPU or Intel GPUs are not supported. You will have to buy graphic cards from NVIDIA, and these graphic cards come from the latest two generation of cards. These two generations of cards are from the Series 3000 or the Series 4000. As you can see on the charts, in the Series 3000, the least that you can buy is the 3060, and this is equivalent to the 4050. So always when you go up in 1 year, you will be able to subtract 10 from that number, and you are going to get a the same power as the year before. So 4060 is the equivalent of the 4050. You need at least 6 gigabytes of internal memory for these cards. So make sure that your laptop or desktop has at least 6 gigabytes of storage in RAM for the graphics card, but more recommended is at least of 8 gigabytes minimum, and this is going to give you a much smoother experience. As graphic cards go, on the recommended side, the 3070 is an okay card, and it is the equivalent of the 4060 of the latest generation. But if you have a plan to not upgrade in the near future, I would recommend to go to 4070 or 4080, with the 4090 being a stellar component. So if you want to have an extraordinary graphics card, buy a laptop with a 4090 or with a 4080, at least a 4080. And anything else is going to be good, but not as strong as the 4080 or the 4090. Those cards also come with much more RAM and are going to handle everything extraordinary. Windows is supported in the Windows 10, but Windows 18 is recommended for 12th gen or later Intel processors. Now let us talk about PC desktop processors, and we are going to start with the processors from AMD. To not get your mind cluttered, I prepared charts that are going to show you what you can buy, what you can't buy. So as you can see here, what I've marked with black is the versions that you cannot buy. They are not going to work at all or not good enough. AMD Ryzen from the 5th generation 55,000 or 5500 or 5500H are not good enough. you are going to start from in the 5th generation of AMD processors from the 5600, and this is going to go up to the 5600X3D that is recommended, and very good processors start from the 5800X processors in the AMD family. In the 7 series, so this is the latest series of desktop processors, the 7500F is not recommended. The recommended specs start from the 7600 and very good specs from the 7700X. Everything up is going to handle very well. So on the Intel side of things, we are going to do the same. With black, we are marking the CPUs that you won't buy. With red, we are having the starting points of CPUs. Yellow is an intermediate zone with okay performance, but you can get better performance in the green zones. So if you have the budget for it, just choose processors from the green zone or at least from the yellow zone. As you can see, in black, we have the Core i3. So we are not going to buy any Core i3s, we are going to buy desktop CPUs from the Core i5 generation, and from these Core i5s, as you can see, we are going to choose in the 13th generation in Raptor Lake. We are going to choose starting from the 14490F, and in the 12,000 generation we are going to start with 12,490F, and if we want to have better performance, we are going to choose a Raptor Lake from 13,700 KF and or Elder Lake from the 12,700 KF. Anything better is going to perform amazing, anything lower than that is going to be good, but not in the red or black zones. So do remember that with the 12th generation older lakes, the CPUs from Intel got a huge performance update. These are the recommended processors, so don't go down to the 11th or 10th generation of Intel processors, only buy Intel processors from the 12th or the 13th generation. On the laptop side of things, AMD has good CPUs in the 6000 generations and 7000 generation. As you can see, black marks the CPUs that you don't buy at all, with red starting the CPUs that you might consider on a budget, and yellow and green are good CPUs, with green being the best. So on the 6000 series, avoid anything under the 6600 HS. Start from the 6600H, going through 600, 8000U and HS, and good CPUs are 6800H and everything above. In the 7000 series, just avoid anything that is under the 7840U. These are all underpowered GPUs, mobile GPUs that draw little power, have good battery life, but are not good enough for scanning. So you are going to start searching for CPUs from 7535HS and up. And the good ones are the 7735HS with the mobile 680M that draws at least 54 watts of power. Now for the PC laptops with Intel, also like the desktop counterpart, you are going to search for components that are from the 12th or 13th generation. In the 13th generation, you are going to avoid any CPUs that are denominated with U or P. These are underpowered models. As I said before, good battery life, but they are not good enough for scanning. So if we want good performance with a Raptor Lake in laptops, we are going to start with the H or HX series, and avoiding anything under the 13500H. The 13505H is a good starting point, but good CPUs you'll find under the 14700H, and above, or 13,700HX that are even better. They draw more power and are much more powerful. That everything with HX actually draws more power than the H versions, and they are better for scanning. If you have a little bit more time and you want to get the best deal out of your laptops, what I do is follow reviews from the gaming industry, where, for example, I follow the guys from Gerald's Tech, very good reviews. And sometimes if you have the time needed to study these reviews, you're going to find out that some laptops, even if they seem underpowered, they actually are better than their other parts with better components inside. One such example was last year's Lenovo Legion 5i Pro that only has a 12,700H processors inside, whereas the Asus Zephyrus M16 has a 12,900H processor inside, and you would assume that the second laptop would perform much better because of this. But as you can see under in their specs there, because the Lenovo draws 125 to 140 watts and the other unit, the Asus, draws 100 to 120 watts, so it's a little underpowered. You will actually get more performance out of a lower class CPU than on the higher class CPU, just because it is enabled to draw more power from the battery. So this is my advice to you. If you want to do a correct buy in your market, just see what laptops you find and go to external sources, review sources, and see the scores that these units draw, and based on that scores just decide for yourself. And also regarding the components, the minimum components and the recommended components, draw your conclusion and buy the best unit for you. Another important part in laptops, also in desktops sometimes, but mostly in laptops, is the thermal throttling. What this means is that laptops go hotter and hotter while you use them, and if they are not properly cooled, at some point when they are hot enough, the system will limit its power and cut on the power of the laptop, so it doesn't get more heat inside and it doesn't deteriorate the product. So if the laptop is not properly cooled and it goes into thermal throttling, as this process is known, you are going to actually get worse performance than with a cooled laptop. What you need to do is sometimes you have to open the laptop, or somebody has to do this for you, and clean the dust inside, because dust is going to actually build up thermal throttling, and you have to clean this out to have again better performance with your laptops. This you will see in laptops that are performing very good, and after some time you see that after you start a scan, when the laptop is cool, the frame rate of the scan is starting to fall. In the first minute or so, you're going to have, for example, 70 frames a second, and then the 70 frames per second are going to drop to 60 or even below, and then you are going to note that this laptop is actually thermal throttling, and you're going to need to find a solution for this. Another problem in laptops is if you place them inside cards, as you can see on the right, cards that actually hold the laptop inside a very small and contained area, and in that area, because it's not properly ventilated, it's gonna thermal throttle. So also this you are going to see when the laptop is cool, you are going to start scanning with a good amount of frames, and when the frame rate is dropping, probably this is caused by thermal throttling, and you are better off keeping the laptop on a table than placing it inside a card that is so contained in space, as you can see there. Also, if you want very good performance out of your machine and you want that performance to last even longer during the years, not only will you have to clean the laptop inside of dust, and you are also going to need to keep it cool. And this you can do, as you can see on the lower right of the screen, by using thermal pads. These are devices that actually cool the laptop from beneath, and you can get better performance with laptops when they are properly cooled.
Thank you for sharing all your tips with us, Dr. Bogdan. I believe that through this lecture, all the questions before using the scanner have been resolved. Now let's move on to Q&A session.
Excellent. Let's see what the audience needed from us.
Okay. So starting from the question number 1, how many scans do you scan with i700 wireless scanner?
So my experience with the wireless scanner is like this. I usually tend to do from 4 to 6 cases. If I do smaller cases like onlays, inlays, single crowns, or small bridges, it's a good possibility to have 4 to 6 scans, full scans. But if I do larger cases, because the scanner needs to stay active and goes to sleep and goes back in, and I'm going to handle 2 pre-ops and 2 ops and more multiple occlusions, dynamic occlusions, face scans. I'm going to add some additional scans for maybe dynamic tracking of the jaws. So with everything together, I tend to have in very, very big cases, maybe 1 to 1.5 scans. So I always have a spare battery prepared. And when I finish the first one, I have my assistant place it already in the cradle to get it full charge. Because as you'll find out in the second webinar, the charge time for a battery is around 3 to 4 hours. And with this charge time, you need, and the real actual scanning time is 1 hour. So you can run through batteries, but because you're going to have a lot of time between scannings, the first battery is going to get charged with no problems at all.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to question number 2. Do you normally warm up your scanner before starting to scan?
Yes, of course, it's imperative to do this because let's think this through from a physical perspective. Every object in the universe has a variable dimension that is tended by its warmth. When objects are warmer, they get bigger. When they are colder, they get smaller. So the cameras need to be in the right place, one to the other. And also the scanner needs to have everything warmed up. It knows exactly what it does. When it starts, it's just going to give you a notification and start heating up. When you start heating up your scanner, it depends on what type of connection you're using. So for the connected scanners, it's usually easier to get them warmed up on the USB-A connection because they're also plugged in the socket, and the actual power comes from the socket, so the warming up is very fast. USB-C connections is very easy to set up connection. It takes a little bit more time, but if the laptop is plugged in, this also works well enough. And the wireless unit has its batteries to do this, but always my recommendation to you is every time the scanner asks for itself to get warmed up, let it do so. For example, in the middle of a scan, if you have a big case and scanner goes to sleep, sometimes it will ask you to get itself warm again. So please don't skip that. Let it do its thing, because precision accuracy is going to be reliant on this particular warming.
Okay. So question number 3. Do I need to do calibration for scanner, and is calibration only good for precision?
Well, this calibration is actually very important. You can set it from 1 day to 30 days. I usually keep mine on 14 days, so 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to calibrate my scanner. Calibration covers 2 parts. First, also calibration asks for the scanner to be warm enough. So let it also warm up. Then do your calibration. This actually handles the precision of your models, but also the accuracy of your colors. So if you have a unit that determines its colors, that lets you determine colors, also do calibration if you want to have proper results. Also, I'm going to mention this in the second webinar. Let's hear it out from now. If you have a big important case, even if you had your calibration yesterday, just recalibrate. If you have a big implant case, if you have a full arch, always calibrate before doing this.
There were so many tips that Dr. Bogdan just gave us today.
I hope this helps.
That's all about it for today. You'll be able to watch this webinar on our YouTube channel and Medit Academy once it's completed. We would appreciate your feedback, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us meditedu@medit.com. Thank you for being here, Dr. Bogdan.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.